AskReddit by not a big fan of ducks. What isn't nearly as bad as Reddit would have you believe? Working through relationship problems. Bad thing happens in a relationship. Reddit advice: OMG, break up now, they're an awful human being. Healthy advice: communicate, bad things happen, you're supposed to have low expectations and high standards. Edit: to at, when I say all this I'm not really referring to the crazy stories on the relationship subreddits as the comments below have pointed out. We all know the common sense thing to do in those situations, hopefully. Deleted. I used to take my friend's early teen daughter to the animal shelter where I volunteered and no one ever looked at me sideways. Anyone who commented thought she was my daughter. I used to hang out and play with another friend's toddler daughter at their coffee shop and everyone who said anything was super positive, usually so sweet. I have no doubt men occasionally run into negative assumptions, but neither myself nor any of my friends have. Your relationship. I mentioned an ex being emotionally immature and someone said he's a covert narcissist. Not every relationship conflict is a sign that someone is abusing you. When did we start using narcissist to describe someone exhibiting literally any undesirable behavior? It gets on my nerves so bad. Not everyone is a narcissist FFS. Some people are just your everyday, run-of-the-mill dickhead. My mental health. Not everything means I'm a sociopath with ADHD. There was another thread recently about things that are less common than people think and my answer is personality disorders. Going to social events, and or having a large or multiple friend circles. Just because someone is an acquaintance and not a best friend is not a bad thing. You can still enjoy their company. 100%. A lot of people never learn that relationships aren't all or nothing. You can have a different level of closeness with each person you meet. Some relationships work better at a distance, some work better with intimacy. You can value distant relationships just like you value a best friend. Me not wanting to be your bestie doesn't mean I don't value your company. Everything. This site loves to complain and take everything to the extreme. I think a big part of the reason is that a large percentage of the users here are kids who don't know shit about anything. Agreeing to disagree and moving on. The average Redditor gives advice like being correct and proving one's correctness is extremely important, even in causal conversation. As someone who used to be that way, I cannot emphasize how much less stressful life is if you're willing to just move on and compromise even if you think you're 1000% right. Obviously there are things you should never compromise on, but those are a lot easier to recognize when you let the small disagreements go. I think some people just like to argue. Pair that with the trend that Redditors try to be contrarian and you end up with a conversation as pleasant as hemorrhoids. Reddit isn't the majority most of the time, it's actually a very small, vocal, echo chamber. Don't take everything seriously here. I'm constantly amazed how so many people will confidently and arrogantly post information that is 100% incorrect. I mean, I'm blown away by the mental process. You see a thread of conversation, you know you have no experience or knowledge on the subject, you don't even do a basic Google search to learn anything about the topic, but you then proceed to write out a post about how it all works and click submit. Then, you will proceed to argue with anyone who points out that you are incorrect, while still not doing even the slightest bit of research. Max Reed was right, the internet is for 12-year-olds. You do not get explosive diarrhea when you eat Taco Bell. If you do, you need to check for food intolerances. The 9-to-5 cubicle job. As someone who thought he'd do manual labor and retail bullshit their entire life, I love my office job. After working in retail and warehouse jobs as a teen, my main requirement for a career was that I get to sit down most of the time. Seeing both sides of an argument. God, this site runs on absolutism. Aristotle once wrote, It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. This sentence should be sticky to the top of every Redditor's main page. 1. Introverts. 2. Extroverts. Introverted and extroverted don't really mean what most people think they mean. It means people who recharge their energy by either being around others or not. If you're an introvert, you recharge alone. If you're an extrovert, you recharge by being around others. This is why you can see socially adept introverts and socially awkward extroverts. It has nothing to really do with confidence in social settings, but whether or not they energize you. Doing anything silly and harmless with your pets. People will post a beautiful home with cat trees and toys in the background and an obviously well cared for and well fed cat chilling, and people will crucify them because they put their cat in a sweater and sang a silly song with it. As if a cat would stick around for anything it didn't want to do. There's a very big disconnect on Reddit from pointing out actual animal abuse and putting your dog in an ugly Christmas sweater and moving its paws to the tune. Is it dumb? Yes. Is the dog thrilled by it? Probably not. Is it grotesque animal abuse? No. But Reddit will treat you like you throw puppies in a river. It's bizarre. For real. It's like people forget that cats are animals with claws and teeth, which will very quickly make use of those claws and teeth if they decide they are not a fan of their current situation. Literally everything. Reddit is the biggest hive of drama queens and attention whores and will blow anything up into a big deal if it get them up votes. I know a few single fathers. Not a single one has ever felt in any way judged for taking their kids places. They're just a dad at the park. To hear Reddit tell it, every single father on the planet is immediately arrested and thrown in prison without trial for being near kids. That's negativity bias. The real issue is when people assume he's babysitting or giving his wife a break as opposed to parenting. Any large city, for example as described in any places I'll never visit thread. Plus the idea that doing anything touristy means you're not truly enjoying your trip. Extroverts. I got adopted by one once. You know what I did? I got out of my comfort zone. I met new people. I tried new things. I had a blast. Quit giggling over cancelling plans last second and fucking try saying yes sometime. Neuroplasticity. Walk outside of your usual path. It literally changes the brain. Being an introvert doesn't mean commit to staying inside by yourself for the rest of your life. Breaking out of your comfort zone can improve your mood and maybe even help make a connection or find a new interest you never knew you needed. Life. Life in America. We absolutely have our problems, but so do all countries. Reddit loves to compare the most awfully designed suburb of a terrible city with, like, downtown Stockholm lol. Look at this strip mall in poor rural Missouri. Now look at this cafe in an affluent neighborhood of Paris. It's unconscionable. No, it's just incomparable. Deleted. People only go online to complain about games they hate. People actually enjoying the game are playing it. I view all negativity online as 10% of the whole picture. It's worth acknowledging the complaints, but not worth basing your opinion purchase participation solely on online negativity. Ducks, according to your username. You've got me there, but in fairness I don't have anything against ducks. I'm just not their biggest fan. Your relationship, probably. Literally fucking everything. I say this generally, but from all I've seen, people on Reddit have a predisposition to speaking negatively and thinking negatively. Positive comments are few and far between, save for the spaces where they're expected, for example wholesome memes, made me smile etc. Culturally, it's an exceptionally negative website, and I'd recommend to anyone with poor mental health to try and limit the time they spend here. Again, depending on what subreddits they frequent. The ability for a person to work hard and improve their quality of life over time. Deleted. On a light note, Nickelback. Are they the best band ever? Hardly. But they are not as awful as Reddit paints them to be. I can think of many more bands that have much worse music. The Nickelback hate has been around since I was a teenager. Started as a total joke and some people got way too serious about it, and now there is no way to tell who actually despises Nickelback and who's just joking. It's normally mostly the latter. Internet hate's a thing. Must get on the bandwagon.